Oh, God. Got hair in my ass crack.
That's a way to start an episode.
Out of context, that sounds crazy. He cut my hair, so.
Yeah, this is true. Also, are we recording?
Yes, God damn. You see the red?
Yes. Okay, I didn't see the red.
This is going to become a thing, okay?
I'm sorry. Look, I have done that too many times.
Yes. I mean, I get the anxiety, but
It's PTSD. It's terrifying. When you do it once, especially on important projects, you double and triple check every time.
Definitely.
But yes, I did just cut your hair.
You want to double check that one?
Sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. It's recording.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because this is the Lousy show, not the Lazy show, and that's what we do here is we double check all our recordings right at the beginning. So
because we want to make premium content for you.
Yep. And premium content is double checking that we didn't fuck up. So yeah, and OnlyFans. Check the link. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, Jesus Christ. Yes, we are. We are in fact the Lousy Show. I'm Joe.
I'm Sam.
And if you're watching this far, hopefully you like what you heard. Either that or you hate us so much you're just trying to find reasons to complain.
I thought you were going to say, like, I'm sorry. If you're watching this far, I'm sorry. What are you doing?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Why?
This is a lousy show, after all. So.
It is a lousy show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at least what that says.
Yeah, that is what the sign says, which you can't see. We got rid of that camera angle. So.
Yeah, yeah. After episode 1, we got rid of that camera angle.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Until we can get another iPhone 13 or 14 Pro Max.
Yeah, correct. Because it was...
The budget doesn't allow for that right now.
No.
We'll just say.
No. So, speaking of which, if you want to donate to help us get a third camera angle, we'll put something here to go to donate or links down below. There you go. How about that? Mm-hmm. Appreciate you. Y'all are amazing. Stay pretty. Anyway, so let's get started today because we have an interesting. I think they are gonna like this.
I mean, I sure hope so. I mean, that is why we do the show. But I think it's going to be an interesting ride on this one.
The best way we can do it, just break the ice.
Go for it.
Conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're going full Joe Rogan. And
we put on our Rogan caps. We're turning frogs gay.
Yep.
All that good stuff.
InfoWars.
We are in fact deep diving. A couple. We'll probably revisit this as well.
Oh yeah, there's an infinite amount of conspiracy theories.
Yes,
from the frogs are gay.
Well, truthfully, I find that with us being a lousy show, we have a horrible trend of not finishing an episode. And what I mean by that is every episode so far, except for one, has been is a continuation.
Oh, you mean like we have started it and then there needs to be a part 2?
Yes.
Is what you mean. Okay.
Yes.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, I'm pretty sure we came to a pretty succinct end for most of them.
Oh, no, we had an ending. Okay. We had an ending. But we go, you know what? We're going to talk about that more in another episode.
Yeah.
We'll come back. And we just never finish it. But what kind of show would we be if we weren't lousy?
I mean, you're very true.
So, but let's jump in.
Yeah, you said so before the show. You said that you had kind of an idea, which kind of that's what sparked this entire episode. Is you had a conspiracy theory in mind that you wanted to talk about?
Yes,
and I am very excited to hear what this is because you gave me just the title, and I was immediately hooked. And I was like, okay, what's this all about?
So okay, think back for a moment here, and everyone listening, I want you to. For a majority of you, if you're like, I don't know, if you're a toddler, you probably wouldn't remember this. And if you're a toddler, why are you listening to this show? Parents, check your kids. Yep. So all of us lived or have lived, I should say, through a lot of life-changing events.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially being a millennial.
Yes. In our generation, it is... awful.
Yep.
But think back 3 years.
Okay.
Height of COVID, right? We're talking COVID on this one. Chat. Wow.
Chat. You're streaming too much.
I've been streaming way too much.
By the way, check out his stream right here. I'll put a link.
Don't do that.
I'm going to do it.
No.
I'm going to do it. Just this once. That's it. You only get one.
Okay, well,
and I'm not going to link it. I'm just going to put it in the video, just really fast.
Fair.
It's subliminal advertising.
Fair.
So, yeah.
Fair. To be fair, I promise I would never do that.
No.
So, okay, COVID. Right. Follow along, listeners. height of COVID 3 years ago, the world shut down. We're trying to figure out, who are the special workers who are supposed to go, like, make sure the world keeps, working as much as possible.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently, yeah,
Yeah.
sales was important.
Yeah.
But in reality, that was all because businesses just didn't want to sink, and you work for a very large company. We won't name them, but everyone had an excuse as to why they had to be some form of worker. I worked for a university as a remote worker, and they still had me traveling. So, we'll just skip on by that beat.
Well, that's its own conspiracy, but
But recently, the world, or more so specifically the world governments, told us aliens are real.
what?
And all of us went,
No way.
Yeah, exactly.
Shocker.
crazy.
You mean we've kind of fucking known this, their government, okay?
You mean that we live in a universe where other beings exist and it's not just us? That's crazy.
We got all the Kyles to Naruto Run to Area 51. We found out then. Okay.
Yeah, we broke down the walls. But here's the conspiracy theory. And this got my brain turning hard on this. We don't know what extraterrestrial life is capable of.
Very true.
We don't know what they've seen. We have no idea, we don't know anything about them besides the fact that they exist, right? What if we were warned by the aliens that our planet was going to die if we did not correct certain events? Thus, COVID, in air quotes, was launched, or released, if you will, because the Wuhan lab thing was an actual, that was found, you know. What if it was launched, right, as a means to not effectively kill the population, but to slow us down so that way the Earth could correct itself? Because if you remember, the entire planet was shut down. No one, no country on this planet besides America. Exactly. No country on this planet was operating at full capacity. Only specific individuals with high enough level of clearance, basically, in certain countries besides us. We were like, oh, you work at Walmart? Go to work. But most countries only had selected officials working. Now, I'm not saying COVID's fake.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that at all, listeners. I'm not saying that at all. COVID's a very real thing. It's unfortunately something that has killed a lot of people. Up there with the flu, up there with a lot of these other viruses we get year round. It's something you don't want to catch. I've caught it a couple times myself. It sucks.
Yeah.
But what if we were warned by the aliens, right, the extraterrestrial beings, that our planet was on the verge of extinction level events? And the only way to fix that was to correct it by slowing us down. Because every day we go out, we drive our cars, letting off emissions. We're using different things around our houses to that cause emissions, that's chewing up our ozone. We're littering. We're destroying parts of our planet just to dump trash on it and bury the trash or burn or whatever. There are so many different things we're doing around the world that cause harm to the planet that we live on. And a lot of people forget that the planet we live on is actually, a living being, essentially, like real. What if that was the case? What if we were warned and that's why that happened? And now, because if you think about it, ever since until probably the beginning of this year, we were still like in COVID times. A lot of people still think we are.
Yeah.
A lot of people still mask up, and hey, that's fine. Do what you got to do. Again, not saying anything against that. I am always going to say whatever makes you feel healthiest and comfortable, do it. If you want to be fucking Jake Gyllenhaal from Bubble Boy and put a big old bubble around you, that's fine. Do it. I'm gonna probably look at you kind of weird, but I'm gonna, hey, I guess do your thing.
Yeah.
What if that were the case? What if that caused it?
I mean, but I see where you're coming from on that. I mean, if they're making themselves more and more known, why not just fucking come out and say it? Say, hey, y'all need to chill the fuck out. All right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But it's unfortunate the fact that I have to say this. We live in a world where we are controlled. Government officials all around the world control us. There's government meetings every year for whatever purpose.
Yeah.
Right? So they hold the keys. They would have known if aliens entered our atmosphere. Hell, we joked about Rogan earlier, but Rogan had a visitor on his podcast. I can't remember the guy's name. I'd love to go back and find the episode. If you can, like, put the thumbnail like here, showing that episode. But like, it was the episode where it was I think a Navy pilot, I think it was, who saw a UFO hovering over the water on thermo, and then like watched it just like take off out of nowhere. Like, I'm sure you've seen that clip.
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen 1,000,001 clips of aliens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is like, I'm sure around that time, because if I'm not mistaken, that was in 2020 or even a little bit before that. So what if the world governments found out about this and was like, hold up, let's talk. Communications happened. And then they were like, by the way, your planet's fucked. Like,
oh, so you're saying that the aliens told the world leaders.
correct.
And then said, hey, y'all need to shut the fuck down for a bit.
Yes. And I think now what's happening is the governments are finally going like, hey, we should probably be honest about this. Let's go ahead and say something. Because why out of the blue would they come out and talk about the aliens now? Now, mind you, this is something I read. This is not something that I'm this is something that's hit me, and I was like, when I read it, I'm like, holy
You're like
shit.
thinking about it some.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, it makes you think for sure. I mean, and most conspiracy theories, that's what they're designed to do. It's just to question the norm, which that's totally fine. I'm fine with questioning the norm. I feel like we should all have a little hint of skepticism.
Always.
Everything that's told to you, right?
Yes.
But then, so like kind of going into, we're also going to be talking about just aliens in general. Like that's one of our other topics. So of course this will tie right into it. The most recent thing, yes, it is a government official, but he's like a whistleblower. Like he's just there like saying, hey, I got some shit to tell you. They didn't tell me I can like say everything, but like I got some shit to say. And so like I have a natural degree of skepticism just even for this guy.
Yeah.
You know, that's saying, hey, there's some shit.
Yeah.
Which of course, like I think it's dumb to think that there's not other stuff out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's a really big fucking universe.
Yeah.
You know? And so like there's
multiverse, if you will, if you believe in that.
Potentially, yeah. And so like if it wouldn't surprise me to see little gray men or whatever, however they're going to look, you know, around the world. I don't know. Like that one just seems, I don't want to say a little too far-fetched because it's got like, you know, some elements of truth, but I mean, any good conspiracy theory will.
Correct.
So yeah, I don't know, man.
See, here's where it gets me.
Okay.
Here's where it gets me is, so when I read this initially, like you said, having a degree of skepticism, like you have to, no matter what. And I'm going to echo your point. Like listeners, if you don't have some degree of skepticism, please do. Like you can't believe everything that's told to you. Yeah. Don't be the Facebook moms. Like please, for the love of, oh my God, I don't even want to get on that tirade right now.
Hey everyone, if you're enjoying the show, make sure to subscribe or follow depending on the site that you're on, and make sure to drop a like on the video. If you have any lousy ideas for the show, feel free to email them to us at thelousypodcast@gmail.com or join the Discord by using the link in the description. Back to the show.
The part that got me with this was the fact that the timing of all of this has been too perfect. Because, like you said, the whistleblower came out and said, hey, I got some tea. And we gonna spill it. Yeah. And it's just, with how recent that was, because I don't like, you could think of like, oh, well, what about any other like pandemic that's hit us? Okay, well, the Spanish flu, when it hit back in 1918, I think it was. You look at the Spanish flu. I think that was a legit like sickness that hit us, and no one knew, because medicine back then was nowhere near what it is today.
Yeah.
No one knew how to combat it, and so a lot of people died because they didn't know what the symptoms were, how the symptoms were spread, or how the virus was spread. Excuse me. You know, what any kind of showing signs were, how to even stop it, how to save you if you do get it. That there was so much in, but now we have so much coming out about, you know, when the Wuhan lab was announced of, yeah, COVID was actually stored there. No shit. So you mean to tell me bat soup wasn't the issue? Crazy. Like, it just, you think about the timing of everything and all the information we received, where COVID was stored, how it was stored, how it spread, how it was and I say designed, being in its biological structure, not that we designed it, keeping that in mind here, how it's designed, because every virus, if you look at any virus, it's got a specific designation, or it's designed to, in its form, how it's going to attack. You know, whether it's flu, whether it's COVID, whether it's herpes, whether it's, you know, whatever it is, like that virus is going to hit a certain way, and that's why it shows in certain symptoms. So COVID's design was an initial, like, if you remember, it was targeting, or more specific, targeting those with weaker immune systems, right?
I mean, any virus does.
Correct.
Yeah.
Everyone else, we got some sniffles. We lost our taste and smell for a little bit. Pretty drowsy for a few days. A couple weeks later, boom, we're good. But we were warned that this was a life-ending situation. If you remember, all the propaganda back then was that if you come in contact with COVID, your risk of death is extremely high. You know, like,
yeah, I mean that was coming out from like extreme people. Like
it's scare tactics.
But it was also like, yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
Grandma ain't gonna live through that.
Correct.
That's the thing there.
Yeah.
So,
but what did it do? It slowed us down.
Yeah.
It slowed everyone down to a complete halt, because we're going to listen to our governments. If our governments tell us to do something, we're going to listen to the governments no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, and I hate to say it's a blind sheep narrative, but it is. Like, if the government came out, you know, if President Biden came out today and said, "Hey, we're gonna send 30,000 people on a giant missile to Uranus to start a colony," everyone on this planet would be like, "Sign me up." Yeah. Like, nobody's going to question it. Nobody's gonna be like, why Uranus? Why that planet specifically? What are we going? What are we doing here? What are we going to mine there? No. You're gonna have people who are just blindly like, okay, bet. Same concept.
Yeah.
Governments came out and said, hey, we need to shut down, like, we need to stop the world from turning. Again, not taking any seriousness away from COVID. COVID really fucked us up. But this is where the conspiracy theory got me thinking, because I'm thinking, like, well, yeah, if we were coming to a head of an extinction level event where it was, the world could potentially, not necessarily detonate. I don't ever think the world's just going to blow up one day. Because if it does, or the sun decides to explode and swallow us whole, doesn't matter anyways. We're not going to survive. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Glory, what a hell of a way to die.
Yep.
But I think that it was a point in which, if you go back and look at that time specifically, raging forest fires everywhere, droughts, weather patterns changing. When we hit COVID, the world shut down, and we saw what was very intriguing was the world started healing. The weather patterns started to shift. We started seeing normal weather patterns come back, and things start happening again effectively. Not to the degree in which I think we could have. Because truth be told, like, if you go and look at how damaged the earth is, we would need like a solid, like, another 2 years of this.
Yeah.
But we started seeing that a bit more. We started seeing, like, really big changes in economical purposes as well. Like, and what I mean by that is, like, fruits and veggies, like your foods. We were able to start catching up on crops because we weren't pushing so many out. Like, a lot of people were actually relying on themselves to start making crops at home, or growing crops at home. So now we have a lot of that happening where we're not having to push so many chemicals out. Like, things, so many different things happened in this one time. And that's why I go, okay, that's fucking weird.
See, I don't think that any of that you just said actually happened.
I do.
I think it was perceived that way for a small fraction of time, but we've known that the earth kind of works in cycles. And so, I mean, shit like that happens all the time. whether our influence is there or not. Now, our influence is definitely speeding things up. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't think a 2-year period is enough time to really say, oh, it was definitely correlated. You know?
Oh, no. Make no mistake. I think that 2 years was stopped for a reason. And that reason is us.
What do you mean?
It's a human factor. You can't take us out of our positions that long. Like you can't. We still have things we have to do. Life goes on.
Yeah.
We have to maintain ourselves. Like you go back and look, how many people were trying to figure out what they were supposed to do for their jobs? Who were these special employees? Right. You have everyone around the world. Like you have countries who went into economic deficits because of the fact that they weren't churning, money. No one was buying anything from stores because they couldn't go anywhere. No one was making money to spend anyways. Companies were barely able to stay afloat because of the fact that they couldn't pay their employees, and those who couldn't stay afloat shut down. 2 years later, by the time the 2 years was up, everyone was already going back to work. Everyone said, to hell with this. I'll catch COVID if I need to.
Yeah.
No one was afraid of it anymore. That's where I think the problem came into play. I believe to a degree that, or not even to a degree, I believe that we ended up going, enough is enough. It's time for us to start our lives again. The conspiracy theory, when I'm hearing this, is causing intrigue of me going, okay, what if the plan was originally for that to happen, but to keep us in place for longer, for enough time for the earth to heal? Because in that time, things were changing back. Yes, the earth rolls in cycles. We understand that. You go back and look at the millions and millions of years of history, carbon dating back to whatever period you want to. It's always going to roll hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. And I think what's happening now is we had seen that we were getting to that extinction level event. I do believe that we are an advanced civilization enough to where it's kind of like the Star Trek method. If a civilization isn't advanced enough, you don't alter its destiny. I'm sure you've seen Star Trek enough.
Yeah.
It's same concept. I'm sure that was probably the mindset behind this conspiracy theory, is that aliens were like, well, you're advanced enough, so we need to tell you, you're fucking up. It really intrigues me that could be the case.
Yeah.
That we could have been warned, and that's where it came from. Because we can get lost in the semantics all day long.
Yeah.
We can sit here and discuss every single detail of COVID and what happened during COVID and the economic collapse in certain countries. We could talk about how jobs were ruined, how businesses were ruined. We could talk about how wildlife started to thrive again. We could talk about the return of certain species. We could talk about all these things that happened within COVID, right? In just a 2-year time frame. But what if that warning came to us in that event?
I suppose it's possible.
Yeah, I read this recently. This was very recent, as in okay, we just found out aliens are real. Whoop-de-doo. We knew. Okay, cool. Boom. What if this was the case? Because of the timing of it all. So, just a thought.
Yeah. I don't think that's a thing, personally.
I'd like to say I'm 50-50 on it.
I'm 90-10.
Yeah, you're 90 on board? Got it. Cool.
No,
awesome. Thanks. Welcome to the show.
That's not what I said. You're taking me out of context. The frogs are gay.
You get aliens are turning the frogs gay. They're doing it. But no, and that's where I'm 50-50 because I see the skepticism behind it. But I look at the facts of what happened in those 2 years, and I'm like, it could.
I don't think it's a big enough sample size. Honestly, 2 years is to me, it's all coincidental.
Yeah, that's fair. I get that. Yeah. I get that entirely. So, okay, you had put on the list for today as well, aliens.
Yeah, just in general. Yeah.
Okay. What are some that you have?
Well, there's a million out there.
Yeah.
Of course, and then we've already kind of talked about it a little bit, but there was a guy recently who was apparently pretty well acquainted in the government that's been saying, hey, he told in front of Congress, this shit's real, and then we just say, whoop-de-doo.
Yep.
We've known this for a while.
Yep.
Thanks. Just can we get some more details, please? Because this isn't going to shock us.
Yeah.
We're a society that's ready to hear about this.
Remind me, did he ever say where they first
he wasn't. He said he was like, I'm not able to say specifically. He said, you know, there were some crashed, some intact aircraft, and then I'll need to go back and watch the entire hearing again. It was very interesting. That we should find a video of and link.
Yes.
But because it is a very interesting hearing. Because I mean, this is a guy that's like saying to our actual government, and he is part of that. That this is an actual thing. So, and of course, like it wasn't that long ago that the Navy had said there are some objects that are not ours that we don't know what they're capable of,
Yep.
what they can do,
Yep.
but we are acknowledging their existence at this point. And that was kind of the first like domino, I think, to fall.
Yeah.
That the government's like, there's something else out there. And at that point, you know, it was exciting because it's finally like it's about damn time, you know, that we're doing that. But now it's like getting into, you know, all right, at what level are they with us?
To appease my anxiety, check to see if we're still recording. Okay, good. I saw you hit the keyboard. I saw it light up, and I was like, oh no. Okay, that's all I needed. I'm sorry. So sorry.
About to ship this motherfucker off of these aliens, get probed in every orifice.
Yes, alien. How would you even say that?
What are you trying to say?
Space bussy.
Let me get that proboscis. You know what I'm saying?
Jesus. Do we get to choose the size of the probe? Anyways.
What's the biggest one you got? Make another one. It's not big enough.
I don't want to feel after this. Anyways. Yeah, no, going along with that, like I can't, we can't even say aliens are a conspiracy theory because clearly
not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
But what really sold it for me, like I said, we mentioned it earlier, was the video from Rogan with the dude. Actually, pull it up. See if you can find it real quick. I would love to talk about that in this because this was one massive conspiracy theory that the government actually had footage for a while, and no one was saying anything.
So this? That's Cooper.
I want to say that's the same footage. Go down a little bit. No, that guy looks like an alien. I think Rogan's talking to an alien there.
He does kind of look like an alien.
See?
To be fair.
Keep going. Do Joe Rogan military alien. Him. Former intelligence agent. There we go.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
What do you think about all this stuff about, I mean, the New York Times had articles about it. There's Air Force test pilots have come out talking about encountering flying saucers.
For everyone at home, this is if you'd like to
unidentified flying objects, particularly Commander Fravor.
This is Rogan Experience.
Had that David Ford thing. Yeah. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, we do. I'm a shameless marketer. We do an episode on that on ATIP, on the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program. And look, again, I always say the same thing. I'm not a conspiracy guy. I tend to be very cynical about everything. But after talking to some of these folks, including Fravor and a handful of others, who
Also
were both pilots and also were involved in the ATIP program for the U.S. government, for the military, there's things out there that we haven't been able to identify, right? And I'm not jumping on the alien train, right, necessarily. But what I'm saying is that there are things that extremely experienced pilots, military pilots with significant amounts of experience couldn't figure out, couldn't identify, right? And so I'm certainly not going to be smart enough to say, okay, this is what it was. Was it a foreign government's experimental aircraft? Was it something? I don't know. But what I do know is that the U.S. government took it seriously enough that they developed their own internal program within the Pentagon to try to sort out the wheat from the chaff, right? And say, okay, what do we actually have to worry about? In part because it's a national security issue, right? If there is a aircraft, or if there's something up there that a military pilot sees, for instance, that they can't identify, all right, well, we have an obligation to figure out what that is, because if it's a hostile foreign government's efforts to develop, craft that we don't know about, or propulsion systems we don't know about, then yes, we should be working on that issue. The problem has always been that once you talk about that, then people immediately go, "Oh, aliens, huh? Area 51," and it kind of gets dismissed.
Yeah.
But there was a much more serious effort than I knew about before I started working on this thing, and. So I don't know. I think I've got an open mind about that. It's like that old thing about how can we really be the only people out here?
Pictures or video
or life forms out here. I don't know. That seems
there's one. It might actually be that one up there, if I'm not mistaken.
This guy?
Obscure.
Yeah, because I didn't see
The
anything.
Joe Rogan Experience.
Also note the date
Now,
3 years ago.
when you came back, and what do you do with this information?
Okay,
do
so
you
here we go.
report
This
it?
is
Do you
just
talk to
clips. This
people
is it.
about it?
So the typical process, anytime we fly, everything gets debriefed. So
Yes. Okay.
because it was a
You can pause
2-seat
it here.
airplane,
So this is the gentleman here who actually physically saw it. I remember now. If you go back and watch this entire episode, actually, I think 1361 with Commander David Fravor. That episode in particular is actual footage of him seeing it and like the aircraft just taking off, like just disappearing, and they're finding it like literally 3, 4, 5 football fields away in a matter of a second, and it's just like it was at this time that I started to realize aliens are no longer conspiracy theory because aliens couldn't be like we had enough footage and documented evidence to prove this. I'm just wondering, like, what's conspiracy and what isn't with them? Because there's still a level of which, like, are they tiny gray men?
Yeah. Are they among us? Are they among us?
Among us.
Are they, have they made actual contact? Are they still just flying around in their little buggies? And
Well, and that's the thought is like, okay, so one of the biggest questions I have is are they going to be friendly?
yeah.
Because I hate to say this, but our planet has a very quick trigger finger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
And I ain't trying to get busted by some like, portal gun somewhere where I get thrown across the universe.
we're not trying to get Independence Day.
Correct. But that's where I'm wondering is like we always see both sides of the coin when it comes to like cinema, when it comes to video games, when it comes to really any depiction is we get the extremes. We either get extremely intelligent life that's pretty chill, or we get interterrestrial, if you will, interstellar beings that are non-speaking, more telepathic,
Yeah.
and kind of like walk amongst the light. Like what? Like
What?
and that's where I'm really wondering, like, at what level of this conspiracy can we deep dive into to know what they look like? Because I mean, like, we've even seen like shape-shifting scrolls. Most recently, like in Marvel's, and if you're reading comic books, like Marvel's, side of things, where shapeshifters being among us that are entirely possible. Like you could be an alien.
Cut? No, just kidding.
I need to leave my house now. But no, like that's where I'm wondering which level of conspiracy we can go into, and it's tough because you see stuff like that and you go,
Yeah.
it's no longer a conspiracy.
No.
It's very real now. We just have to accept that.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you this: like, what level do you think the conspiracy exists in?
I think it's more right now that they're still in like an observation mode. They haven't they've made accidental contact, and then now they're like kind of starting to get inch closer to the gorilla, see if poke it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And so they're flying around, observing things, kind of gauging where we're at. And
Yeah.
and things like that. And because I mean, when you go back to all the different sightings over the years, like when we were deciding to do this part of the episode, we were looking it up, and it was like there was a place in Virginia that got like 3,000 sightings in 1 year.
I think that was one night.
Was it one night? It might have been the same thing.
Yeah.
From like 3,000 different people. But anyway, like, it's, they've been around for a while. And then some people would even say that, another one we could have gotten into is like, there's a whole TV show based off of it, which is Ancient Aliens.
Yes.
And, that like they built the freaking pyramid and like, all this other fun stuff. And I think it's more still that they're in observation mode. I don't think they're within our society or anything. But,
Let's pause there for a moment. Now I have to ask.
Okay.
How long do you think they've been here?
A while, for sure.
Now, are we talking a while as in like 20 years?
No, like
I'm talking a while like Roswell?
Hundreds. Yeah. I think it's just, it took a while for us to get the technology to start seeing them, like telescopes and aircraft and things like that. Because otherwise, everything else from here on out, and then also just like actually being able to record history and talk about the sightings. Whereas before, it was just like the God was in the sky today. He showed up as a light.
Yeah. I saw God in the version of a 5-inch man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was bald and had big black eyes. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But so, I think it was just, you could even argue thousands, and maybe they were part of, like ancient society and everything. But I think as far as like recorded history goes, we can easily say hundreds of years.
Here's why I want to say I believe that they were here and had full contact with the human race before the human race was a primitive being, if you will. Mm. I look at the depiction of who their gods were, right? And also who ruled them.
Yeah.
A lot of these civilizations, you look at the ancient Mayans, the Incans, the Aztecs, you look at the Egyptians, you look at where these major monumental structures are that are larger than man could provide any kind of substantial work to, especially at that time. Not even get into the sacrificial part of things, because like a lot of these places had sacrificial chambers that were with very interesting markings. Like if you go and this is all very, very easy stuff you can look up on the internet. Like if you want to deep dive this kind of stuff, go look it up. It's honestly fascinating. Mm-hmm. Fascinating stuff to read about just what they were depicting. There are symbols that really make you go, what that? What that mean?
Yeah.
Because I believe that in some form of fashion, for aliens to be real, right? I don't believe it's just one brand of alien.
Yeah.
I want to sit here and say that there are multiple species out there, humanoids alike, and it could very well be that like we're looking at the potential for thousands, hundreds of thousands of different species of humanoid and just animalistic alike, right? What's to say they didn't show up here and go, it's a new race.
Let's play with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, and the more I think about it now that I'm saying this even more, I watched a movie recently that just hit me and I'm like, wow, that might actually work too. You see the movie 65 yet?
No.
It's got Adam Driver in it, and it starts with him on his planet. He's a human, humanoid individual, no special powers, nothing like that. His job is to basically run freight from planet to planet. He's tasked with a position to run a 2-year mission. In which the reason he's doing so is because he's making enough money to help pay for his daughter's medical bills to get her healthy again. The heartstring story, if you will.
Yeah.
He crash lands after bursting through the asteroid belt, an undocumented asteroid belt, and onto an undocumented planet in which his ship completely disintegrates, and he is met with none other than dinosaurs. When he finds his computer, it makes mention of where he's at, the Milky Way. He was on Earth 65 million years before human life was as primitive as it is today.
Yeah.
Now, that's completely fictional. I don't believe that Adam Driver showed up on the planet.
It's Adam Driver. He's been here the whole time.
Right? I mean, if you go look at history books, there's some people you might question.
Yeah.
But I say that to this degree, it's not far-fetched to believe that an alien race could have shown up when we were a lesser primitive species and was like, hey, you're going to worship me, but I'm going to give you everything you need to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at all these ancient civilizations, even the ones that shouldn't have made it, and you go, how the hell did they end up building aqueducts? How the hell did they even think about doing all this? Where did all this architecture come from that they were building out of the blue? Why were they building giant pyramids? Like, one, granted, a pyramid, for those who don't know, it's 4 triangles in a square. A very rudimentary 3D object. Why did they go, let's build that 5,000 times the size of that? It makes you really think.
It does, yeah. And I can see that happening.
Yeah.
I don't know, a little far-fetched, but any conspiracy theory is. Right. So, but yeah, I agree that it could happen. I just don't think that necessarily happened yet, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong on that. I'd love to.
I'd love to see ancient texts or something or someone actually break down what those symbols mean and those one of the, and I know I mentioned this earlier. One of my favorites that I've seen where I was like, "Whoa, that's sick," is you look at the sacrificial chambers that were part of and I'll say the southern North American area being the Aztecs, Incas, and Mayans. You see those sacrificial chambers. You see the chambers in which they resided in. And all the symbols that they were using to communicate. And even the people who are now explorers now in 2023 finding new temples they never knew existed.
Yeah.
The fact that the jungle just swallowed it whole is insane. But they're finding new temples with new markings, new writings, new symbols. And you're going, what does that mean? That looks a lot like a spaceship. And I don't know, maybe it is possible that happened. Maybe it's completely intangible and far-fetched, and I'm just sitting here talking to you about absolute nothing. But it really makes you think,
it does. Yeah.
What if that were the case? So just a thought, food for thought.
I for one accept our alien overlords. And,
same, 100%.
Please deliver us from this evil that is humanity. So.
I really, now that we know they're real, confirmed.
Yeah.
I wish, hope, pray even that there is a better life out there.
Yeah.
One where there's a planet where they're like, hey, everything here is all about peace and positivity. We're going to show you the way.
Yep.
Come on by. And we're like,
no work, just
bet.
Chill.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Over here we have video games.
Yeah.
Tang Slayer 3000. He's here.
He's there.
Here.
Yep. He's always there, wearing his sunglasses and everything.
Oh my God, dude. Imagine.
Yep.
Now, I will say for our last one, I want you to introduce this because I
honestly forgot what it is.
How did you forget?
Because again, we talked about this in our last episode. My memory ain't so good. That one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I brought it up. This was my idea.
Yes, and that's why I'm telling you to present this because I am terrified to do so.
Oh, I will gladly. Where the hell is it? This one?
What are you looking for?
There it is. Okay, cool.
Yes.
And it's hiding from me. Speaking of aliens.
Yes.
They go around from planet to planet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are those planets, are they 3D? Or are they flat discs? We're talking about flat Earth, people.
I'm picturing
We're here.
I'm picturing aliens in like a mech style spaceship, almost like Gundam.
Yeah.
And the planets are all flat, and they're just doing DJ here, just fick. Flat Earthers, man.
Yeah.
Y'all are about as bad as young Earthers.
and
Which that's a whole difference.
that one, we won't touch that one. Because unfortunately, there's a growing movement of people that honestly believe that the Earth is flat. And my favorite thing in the world, you see that video where they accidentally proved themselves wrong?
Yep.
For those that haven't seen it, I'll try to find it and link it. Basically, they do this experiment saying, hey, if the Earth is curved, over this amount based off of their math, right? The man's math, if we hold up a piece of cardboard with a circle hole cut in it and then shine a light behind it, it should be, if it's flat Earth, we should be able to see it this amount of distance away. If it's a curved Earth, like they think it is, then they'd have to hoist it up another however many feet.
Yep.
Yeah, so they do this. And then they do the original experiment that they think is going to prove them right. And they're like, all right, do it. And they're like, they don't see anything. They're like, where's the light? And he's like, it's on. They're like, all right, just for fun, let's put the piece of cardboard up like 17 feet or however high it was. And they do that, and sure enough, there the fucking light is. And they're like, oh, well,
Yep.
and just their reaction to it.
Yep.
Just, I could live off of that just by itself for the rest of my life.
Yes.
And it's so good. And but it's just, I get that people, and like I said, you should have a degree of skepticism to the things that you do, but
of course,
there are certain things that are just proven facts at this point.
Yeah.
And you can very easily do small experiments like that to prove right.
It's boiled down to this. If there is substantial proof and evidence, it is fact.
Yeah.
If there is not, it is a theory. If there is none, it's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And that is where we reside, is flat earthers. There's none.
At all.
At all. Like, how? Okay. My brain tries so hard to see people's perspectives.
Yeah.
How do they think boats
That's
work?
what gets me, because like there are just casual people that circumnavigate the globe
for a living?
or just for fucking fun.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Like there's just normal casuals that have done this. They're not normal or casual if they do that, but you know what I'm saying? Like a normal person can go out and do this if they wanted to. You just got to spend enough money to do it.
Yep. Substantial amount, but yes.
Pretty much none of them, to my knowledge, have come
fallen
back
off.
and said, there's a fucking edge. I almost fell off. There's this big
Yeah.
I saw talking. I didn't want it to be another try not to laugh challenge.
I was about to detonate.
Yeah. Or there's this giant ice wall that's preventing us from.
Yeah.
Like
It's like a video game. You hit the end of the map and you start bouncing off of it.
like, why can't I go any further? We live in a simulation.
To unlock this DLC, pay $5.99. And that's where aliens come in.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
we've
back to aliens. Yep,
we unlock
yep.
the DLC.
Yep.
They're on the other side.
Yep. Yep. That's content you have to pay for. They come out
Premium
with that.
content.
Yep.
Ginger on ginger action, if you will.
Check the OF link.
Jesus Christ. To your point, no one,
Absolutely nobody.
zero people have come back to say, hey, let me tell you how I almost fell off the earth.
No.
It's, also, there's this one thing, and I think a lot of people forget about it from time to time because, why would you think about it? There's just one thing. It's called gravity. That if all gravity were pushing in one direction and not to a central direction, we would die. Just to prove that point, either by literally that gravity crushing our skeletal structure, or, and my personal favorite, floating the fuck away. And because of that, scientifically proven that the Earth's core is what generates, by spinning, it generates that pull withholding that gravity and allows us to survive. You know, like where's science going in your direction here?
Yeah. There's a guy I remember seeing, he owned like a construction company, and they build massive fucking buildings, you know, like skyscrapers. And he was a flat earther, and he was like, all I know is that if I hold up this thing, you know, like a plumb bob, basically, you know, like where you tie a string and then there's a weight at the end. And that's how they generate, or they figure out basically how straight up the thing is, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I can do that from a 50-story tall building, and it's not angling to the side. And because he's thinking like, oh, if you're going to be that big, that high up there, you should see some deviation on that. And I'm just like, brother, think about how large this fucking planet is. Even if it were flat, there's a great quote that Neil deGrasse Tyson said, and I'll see if I can. There's too many links. I'm not going to link it. You know,
Last episode it was me putting you to work. Now you're putting yourself to work.
No, I'm not linking this one. But he was like, picture a cue ball.
Yeah.
How perfectly round it is.
Yeah.
The Earth is more flat, even with Mount Everest, Marianas Trench, all this other stuff, than a fucking cue ball. And just think of how smooth and flat that thing is. But then you think there's this giant fucking spike out of it. And so it just shows how large the Earth is in comparison to our tiny little ant colonies down here. It's like, of course it's not going to make a fucking difference. Like, you'd have to be measuring on an atomic level. Like, and even then, I don't think that's big enough. You know, so like, it's just think about it, bro.
Well, yeah. And so I'll say this too, which to your point here, to echo, so for anybody at home who doesn't know this, I love outer space shit. I do. I love, like space stations, rocket ships, outer space travel, galaxies, planetary pictures, you know, I love it all. Yeah, I do. It gives me a sense of euphoria, if you will, knowing that there's a possibility that one day, maybe before I just croak, I could have a chance of going and seeing one of those. Yeah. You know, the Lost in Space style. Hopefully not as dramatic, but hey, why not? Yeah. I recently played a video game called Re-Entry, an orbital simulator. Definitely recommend it if you want a full experience of how to fly a spaceship, because I failed horribly. However, I was able to successfully take off and get into outer space and see the planet. Now, and from a video game perspective, of course, it's only but so much, but it was the same perspective as you would see from, the International Space Station, which orbits this giant ball. Mm-hmm. When you see how absolutely significantly tiny we are in comparison,
it's minuscule.
We're specks of dust.
Not even. We're atoms of specks of dust.
Yes. And the fact that people believe that you could even go to the top of a skyscraper and see any kind of deviation, like, no. Mm-mm. Like, the world, to your point, to Neil deGrasse Tyson's point, the world is not this sphere. It's rigid. It's edgy. It's got divots and dings and dents and jagged edges, but it's still round because it holds all of it. It houses all of that. Yeah. Just a question to the flat earthers out there, how would they anticipate the Marianas Trench would work? How does Mount Everest work? How do volcanoes work? How do especially volcanoes, seeing as liquid hot magma comes out of them, where's that stored? It's not like a little squirt gun where it's like lava. Like,
but I mean, have you seen because you also think about there's the ozone, right? Yep. And then there's all these things, and gravity's bringing this in, but they're talking about there's a literal fucking glass dome that holds this shit in, and that the government's just lying to us. And I was like, what the fuck? These are experiments you can do for yourself, to disprove almost all of this. You don't need a giant fucking rocket.
These are the same motherfuckers who probably thought JFK just wanted a haircut.
I mean, that's an extreme haircut, but
like let's be real here.
a little too much off the top there. But,
Hey, shout out.
yeah. No, no shout outs here. Don't come arrest us, government.
Put that right there. But no, like for the record, I thought I really wanted, I would have loved JFK to finish his term. I think he would have been a great president. Just to clear up that air. But like, there's so many levels to this perspective, because that's now thinking that, like, if this planet is flat, right? What
are we looking at?
Yeah. Like where
Yeah.
what do the other planets look like?
Well, they say that all that's just a screen too. Like, it's like a fucking TV screen.
Oh, so they just believe we're in the fucking Matrix.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, they think that it's like not quite a simulation, but it's like a snow globe or a terrarium, with all this false shit and like God or aliens or there are so many levels to flat earthness that it blows my mind that there are actual real human beings that, like, there are some dumb people. But that's on a whole nother fucking level to me, like, and I'm all for people like believing their beliefs, as long as it's not hurting anybody else. But that's just to another level where, like, you're just fucking dumb.
I mean this in all due respect. And if you fall in this category, again, I mean this in all due respect. That level of stupidity almost makes me feel like Scientology's real. Like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, because we have surpassed that level and we've gone beyond.
Yeah, I mean, it ties really well in with Scientology if you really think about it. But actually, no, it doesn't, because then they can't fucking go from planet to planet. Like, then it's not planets, then it's just fucking discs that you live on. Like,
No, it's a hard drive to hard drive at that point.
Yeah. You're going from one volume to another. Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, I mean, recently doctors said that when we ejaculate, we're actually ejaculating in, like, what was it, like 4.2 terabytes of data every time?
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah,
When you
so
compare,
like-
like genetic data, it's crazy.
So we're just spewing code.
Brother, I dropped a file this morning, and it was it took a while to download, we'll just say, but the upload was pretty quick.
That's enough for this
That's
episode.
it. Yeah,
I'm done.
We
I'm
need
done.
to stop. We need to stop.
Let us know. Let us know in the comments, or send us an email, as always, the Lousy Podcast at gmail.com. Letting us know if there's any conspiracy theories that you've heard of that you would like us to talk about, because I'm sure there's some out there we're going to go like, the fuck?
Like what you're saying at the beginning, this is another continuation episode that we'll talk about something like this again.
We're the kings of that.
We're the kings.
So, we the kings. Shout out
Hey.
to the band.
Good band.
Bang.
Give us rights to your music.
Saw them in a private performance once. Anyways, there's a button over there.
Mm-hmm.
Click that. Subscribe. Also, there's a button down below. Click that. It's a little thumbs up button. That's a like button. And also, if you don't have a conspiracy theory, let us know from what we talked about what you think we are completely stupid with.
Because we are very stupid.
Yeah. What is it you don't agree with? Or if you have no comment at all, drop an emoji.
Yep.
Because it helps engagement. So we'll see you the next one.
Peace.
Later.